luncheon. So both those will be playing at the exact same time next Saturday afternoon. Third thing is, if you're going to be in Columbia on Thursday night, do not call me for World Series tickets. I don't have anything. Okay.
Yeah, Kevin's doing great. He's just tight on Mondays. He can't function.
I look good. You're a fun American. Great American.
Thank you.
Are you guys shooting in HD? You know, makes a guy want to get a facial. I watched the other day some stuff on HD, and I mean it's getting a little personal there. I would hate to be a national media name and have to do that every day. So anyway, we're back at it. A good win for us last Saturday on the road, and the players play a little better than what I would have thought. Afterwards, I had made the comment that I thought we played good, not great. I think we played a little better than good for the most part. We had some glaring mistakes that really stood out that took away from some of our play. But we have another challenge this week, as we all know, playing on the road in Missouri. And as you watch them on tape, with the athleticism they have on offense, you know, they're going into a number of years now where they've been very athletic on offense and move the ball and score points. The quarterback is considerably better now than he was what would be a month ago, in my opinion. And they can still run on defense and make plays, and I think they're very well coached. And so it'll be a great challenge for us to go up there and play. But our players are excited and have shown enthusiasm about playing each week. And so we need a good week of preparation. Need to stay focused on what's important, which is playing well at Missouri.
Mike, are you and your coaching staff and your players encouraged to be able to go to Texas and win on the road without your A+ game?
I think you always have to be encouraged when you win on the road in this league. They're just not giving them away, and I mentioned this to the staff after the game. We talked to the team, and guys were packing up and getting ready to leave, and you know, I said we need to get our stuff and get out of here as fast as we can before anybody changes their mind. And that's really the approach that you have to have, in my opinion, when you play in this league and play on the road. It's difficult. They're not giving you any of them away, and so I'm encouraged that we hopefully have come to a point where we have enough maturity in our team and experience that we can play better than what we had on the road years ago.
You had mentioned earlier that he thought the win at Missouri the last time you were there was really kind of a landmark type of win that's helped you from that point win on the road and be better as a program.
It was a win versus a quality team that had national recognition coast to coast at that time. And I think our players had worked toward that but not been able to achieve that. And so from that point on, we played fairly well on the road. And things happen for a reason, and I think that they understand and they're better at it because of that game. I don't know how many guys that we have on our team that were there. You guys probably know that, I don't. But there's some carryover each year, and it certainly has made a difference in our program.
Talk about that win at Missouri 3 years ago. Where in building this program does that rank as a key victory?
Well, it's hard to rank wins, but it was a big win in some respect that we've been able to get across the country, and people see us differently when we were able to beat a team that was ranked as high as they were on the road. And the perception was important for us in recruiting, and it's continued to help bring good players into our program.
Is there something in your preparation or your mindset that you can attribute this nation-leading 8-game road winning streak to?
I wish I could. I think we have better players than we had 3 years ago or whenever this started. We have more depth, and I think our players believe in themselves enough to go out and play the game. And a lot of playing on the road as coaches talk, the same old us against the world. Once you cross the white lines, it's only 11 on 11. But just like last Saturday, there's still 100,000 of them down there that were on their team. And I guess we had 5,000 or 6,000. I don't know how many we had down there. We had a great crowd, but they only give you so many tickets. So, they had 100 grand, we had 5 for whatever that's worth. So you still have to be able to overcome some difficult situations, especially when momentum swings the other way like it happened last Saturday. So I don't really know what the reason is other than the players believe in themselves and know that just to keep playing the next play.
And you guys as coaches too, don't you kind of treat these, you try to treat them pretty consistently, that you do in preparation kind of the same thing, the routine kind of stays the same for everybody?
We don't change anything. The last couple of years being this season and last season, our style of offense and our communication allows us or gives us a better chance for success on the road.
Do you like the fact this game's kicking off at 11 a.m.? Less time to tailgate for the fans.
I like to play during the day. I know that we don't always dictate that based on television, and the television support we get is tremendous. So, but I would prefer to play during the game, just because if not, just like most of you are probably the same way. It's your job. If I wake up at 6 something in the morning, I got to wait till 7 o'clock at night to play a game. So a lot of things go through my mind multiple times that don't need to go through my mind if I can play at 11 or 2:30.
Mike, do you feel like that your program here has made it the point to where you have enough faith that there will not be a letdown after such a big win, whether all the players have matured to that level where you don't have to worry about that?
You always worry about sustaining a high level of play in college football. And, I just was visiting with somebody today. They had the high school state championships in softball. And one of the teams that won had 14 losses, won state championship. I was thinking, boy, that'd be a heck of a deal. You could just have like 20% of that and still have a chance to win it. And so what I'm getting at is that maturity and experience hopefully keeps your team from having a letdown. You just hope that they can play at a high level each week, because there's really not much room for error. And I think if you look at what's going on in our league right now, it makes it even worse for us as coaches. I think you'll find that our league has more teams playing at a higher level that have a chance to win every Saturday than any other league in the country right now. So that's great for the fans, not good for the coaches.
With the first BCS rankings coming out, what's it feel like to know that you truly do control your own destiny, being right there at number 4?
Well, it's where you want to be. It's a tribute to our players, our team, and our organization, and to where we've gotten at this point. But ultimately, the only thing that really matters for this year, not for Oklahoma State and where we're going for the next 10 years, but for this year, the only thing that matters is where we're at the first week of December.
Mike, the more I talk to the coaches and the players, team chemistry seems to be a thread that continues to run through that. Would you just address your team chemistry and how it's gotten where it is?
Well, I think the players trust the coaches, and the coaches put a lot of faith in the players. And our thought from day one is we're going to put our players first and our coaches second. And that's going to be the way our organization starts and finishes. And so you have a chance for great team chemistry when that's taking place. We have issues. We have 132 players on our team. We have an organization of about 60 personnel, from equipment people and strength and coaches and office personnel and everybody. So if you add all that up, you're at about almost 200 people in your organization. So you're going to have some personality conflicts. You're going to have some issues. You're in a physical sport that's certainly overtaken by egos, both players and coaches. But ultimately, we sit down and we come to a resolution on matters, and we put the team first, and the players and the coaches are last. And I think that's a contributing factor.
Coach, how misleading is Missouri's 3-3 record?
It's real misleading. They've lost 3 times on the road to teams that I don't know what Arizona State's record is now, but I watched them play the other night and they're pretty good. Are they 5-1? Is that they're 5-2? Okay, so OU's won how many games? 6.
Yep.
And Kansas State's won how many? 6. And you add 5, that's 17. So they're a 17-2 is the teams that have beat them.
Do you ever catch yourself being a fan when Justin Gilbert returns? You're just electrified by what he's capable of doing?
He's getting to be a pretty good player. You know, I mentioned to some of the media, not in a large setting like this, but in a quiet setting years ago, that I felt like that by the time he finished here as a returner that we'd forget about Parrish Cox. And knock on wood, he's so far making that statement true. He's becoming a really good return guy. And Justin is matured a lot mentally. Physically, he's as pretty as they get running down the field. But he's really come a long way mentally. He's practicing better. He understands the team concept, and that's why he's doing better individually.
Mike, what does it say about your program that I had to ask John and Dave the other day if they mentioned it in the post-game show on radio, and they did not. You didn't mention it to your team. That win made Oklahoma State bowl eligible. That used to be something that got mentioned first after win number 6. It didn't get mentioned at all. It wasn't in the newspaper. Nothing about bowl eligibility. What does that say?
Well, it's Kevin's fault. Kevin's got to do a better job of keeping everybody aware of what's going on. So, I think that, our goal is to, you guys have heard me say this, I'm repeating myself now, our goal is, 1, to have an organization that people want to be in, players that want to play for our team, they want to graduate and they want to do the right thing in a lot of areas, and then we want to win a league championship. And if we feel like we win a league championship, in most cases, that's going to give us a chance to win the whole thing. So we're just trying to take a step at a time. But fortunately for us, and kind of unfortunately for us, from the way people think, is that just to get into a bowl is just kind of the way it's supposed to be now. One thing that's ironic, and I think I'm correct in saying this, I'm sure Kevin or Gavin knows this, I think that win last Saturday finally put us over 500 as an organization, as a football team in the history of OSU football. Is that right or wrong?
You did that about a month ago.
He was the A&M game.
Okay, A&M game. I was close. It was somebody in Texas. I knew you would know. But so that's kind of where we've been as a football team, and now we're trying to develop some tradition, and that kind of reflects the question that you asked.
You were talking about Missouri's record being a little misleading. It seems like also that some of your team's defensive statistics are a little misleading also. I heard a lot of national guys talk about how terrible Oklahoma State's defense was, and if you just look at the raw numbers for the whole season, I guess you could say that. But the way things have gone when your first unit's out there and all the turnovers that you guys have gotten, the defense is really playing a lot better than what those stats would indicate, isn't it?
Yes. We need to do better stopping the run on first down. We were not effective in slowing the run down on first down there. We have limited the big plays. We have we gave up a couple big runs, but we did a better job of limiting those big plays in the last couple games. And so sometimes you guys will say the bend don't break theory. And I don't know that we're physically good enough to just shut people down completely. We have to bend a little bit. There's some give and take based on your X's and O's scheme as an offense or defense. But in particular, our defense right now, we have to bend a little at times to not make it so much of a risk that you break. And then they've done a great job of forcing turnovers, just like what you've said. I like our defense. But I look at attitude and effort and body language. We don't hang our head. When we make mistakes, we play the next play. We don't get on the bench and throw our helmet and pout. So I like our defense. They're going to get better each week. And just this morning was talking to somebody that, for the most part, you have Jamie and Rachetti and I'm sure I'm missing somebody else other than Markel. And then you've got the other 15 or 20 guys that are playing a lot. They're all coming back for a couple more years. So that's really encouraging for me.
It's not a coincidence that you guys are causing those turnovers, so it seems like it's been something that's emphasized in practice from what I've heard from the players. Is that something you guys are doing more so this year than ever before? Or what do you guys do in practice?
The last couple years we talk about it. You know, talk doesn't get you anywhere. We try to practice it and come up with ways to put our players in position and teach them how to do it. And there's some timing there. You got to be in the right place at the right time, you know. And I joke about James Thomas, but I mean, you ought to throw him in there any time on third down because the ball gets tipped to him or thrown right to him every time. Sean Lewis has been fortunate like that. Sean is in the right place at the right time a number of times in the game. So hopefully what we're trying to instill in our players is to be sound, be in the right gap, limit your big plays, and find a way to get the ball in the offense's hands.
Coach, how much of that's relative to overall defensive team speed?
Makes a big difference. We're faster now than we were 2 years ago. And as I've said before, the youth in our defense and our team is going to be even faster in the next 2 years. We're going to start running with having the ability to run like some of the defenses that you watch on Saturdays that people talk about. I think we're a couple years away from running like those defenses.
When you look at Missouri, is the emphasis really stopping the run, both of Franklin and of Josie?
Yes. Yeah, I think you got to stop the run. They're rushing for 236 and throwing for 221. I'm sure those numbers are off a little bit, but they're 200, and he's gotten better, and you know he can pull it down, take off, and run. And defending a balanced attack is not easy, but in my opinion, we've got to stop the run and try to put them in a situation that they're uncomfortable with.
Tried to ask this yesterday, and I didn't ask it very well. But through 2.5 months of everyday football, 6 games, you don't sense any mental fatigue within your program or physical fatigue? I mean, how are they at 6-0 psychologically and physically compared to the other 2 6-0s you've had here?
Physically, I think we're in pretty good shape. You know, we lost Rush and Devin, and Ryan Simmons is fighting through a minor knee that he should start practicing here within the next week. And Garner's was back to playing, and so physically, I think our team is doing well. Hopefully, fatigue hadn't set in yet. I mean, you guys know my philosophy on that. We don't practice very much, and for that reason. And I think our mental approach is good. It's an ongoing battle because of a lot of things that go on outside of your program that sometimes you can't grasp or put your thumb on as a coach. You can't control it. You just have to deal with it and make it better. And I think our guys are holding up good. And the key to that, in our opinion, is if your best players are buying into your program and they're still practicing hard and playing unselfish football, then your mental state will be good. And we're getting that from Markel Martin and Jamie, Blackman, Whedon. The guys that are marquee players are buying in. And so at this point, we're in pretty good shape mentally.
Coach, talk a little bit about Justin Gilbert and just what he's done. He's probably going to leave here as the all-time kick returner for the Cowboys in touchdowns and playing very well on defense as a true sophomore. Just did you guys expect him to make this big of an impact this early in his career?
I mentioned earlier that he's really developed a lot mentally, and we played him as a freshman last year, and so he went through some growing pains and hit that wall at a certain point where everybody was against him and had to go to class and get up early and things that can really throw a young kid off. Well, he's turned the corner now. He doesn't show up on our class miss list. We haven't had issues with him. He's been a very good practice player, and physically he has all the tools to play this game for a long time. And so he's bringing another approach now. He's been able to return, and it's become a real threat. And so whenever they kick off and it doesn't go, more than 4 yards deep in the end zone, I'm sure you guys are just like me. You're just kind of fired up to see him catch it because there's a chance.
Coach, Justin Blackman in the second half return or he was back to return punts. I believe he fair caught both of them. But is that something you're looking to do maybe in close games, or is that something for good hands after the mishap on special teams, or what's the strategy behind that?
Justin wants to return, and we let him work at it a couple weeks, and so he'll rotate in from this point on.
Or is that just something to mix it up from Cooper, or is that just a different style that you're looking to move on punt return?
Coop plays a lot of plays, and Blackman plays a lot of plays, and so it gives us a chance to get one of them off the field, really Cooper, because otherwise he's returned a lot. So if those guys rotate, it gets one of them off the field for a few plays.
Gilbert brought it out from 4 yards the other day, 4 yards deep. Is that, you mentioned 4 yards, is that kind of the cutoff?
I'd prefer to not bring it out deeper than 4. Their guy the other day, I don't know exactly, it looked like to me he was 5 or 6 deep when he brought it out. That guy's really fast too. There was wind went by when he passed by me. 20 feet from me, and I could feel him running by me. Was that
Fozzie?
Fozzie, yeah. Yeah, Fozzie's fast. What year is he?
Senior. Yeah, senior.
He's really fast. We had a couple guys had a chance to tackle him, and it's misleading how fast he is. You kind of reach for him, and he's over there by that wall. But 4 yards, Bill.
Did Texas just execute it right on that one, or was that an Oklahoma State failure?
Well, we had 2 guys that had a chance to get him. One of them's effort wasn't as good as we thought, and it was interesting. He took a bad angle to start with because he didn't really understand how fast he was, and then when he got there, he should have handled it differently, and then we missed a tackle. And then you flip over Gilbert's, the same thing happened for them. They had 2 guys miss a tackle, and then he made the kicker miss at the last play. And that's what usually takes place on a kickoff return. You've got a guy that has the ball in his hands that's electrifying, and Parrish used to do it all the time. Make 4 or 5 guys miss and go score. Dez did it.
Is that the beauty and the curse of having Quinn Sharp on kickoffs, though, that maybe your coverage guys, they presume it's a touchback and they might?
They're told every time on the sideline, don't take for granted that they won't bring it out, because that is an issue, because you run down there and he kicks it out so many times that they're told every time before they go on the field, don't relax, because they may bring it out.
Coach, talk about Jeremy Smith and how he's played the last couple of games and kind of kept his head on even though he split time with Joseph.
You've heard me mention several times in the last month about our offensive players, our skill guys have to be unselfish, because there's about nine or 10 guys that can play in a game for us, and we're comfortable and they can make plays. Now, obviously, Joe Randall may play more, or Blackman may play more, or Coop, or however that falls, but the guys that can come in behind him can make some plays, and they have to be unselfish. And if you're going to be a good football team, you can't play any other way, because there's not enough footballs to go around. There's not enough plays in a game to go around to keep everybody happy statistically, to put themselves in position for national attention. And he's done a great job with that. He's worked hard. He's never said a word. He's been tough. And my message to them each week has been, I don't know who's going to make that play, but everybody's got to be ready. And fortunately, you talked about the team chemistry. They've all bought into that, and that's very important. And I've said this before, but I've used the basketball scenario. You can't have 5 and All-Americans out there trying to score 35 points a game. It won't work in the locker room. Somebody's got to set a screen. Somebody's got to dive for a loose ball. Somebody's got to set a pick. And we've got guys that are willing to do that on our team right now.
Coming out of the Texas game, there was a national article that was pretty much attacking about the team. Do you let those bother you when you read them, or do you just not try to pay attention?
Well, first thing is I didn't read it. Second thing is it was brought to my attention on a teleconference. And I'm really not going to, because I don't need to read about my own program. I know what's going on. And secondly, and I really don't know the information in there, just a little bit of it. It kind of hurts me for whoever would write an article to attack our players for what they've accomplished up to this point. I really feel sorry for that person that got to have something else to do. I mean, for our team. I mean, go off on the coaches or something. I don't know who all they went off on, but the 132 guys that are in that locker room, wow, those 40 guys that have been playing, they've done pretty good. I mean, you know, I wouldn't kick them out of the car.
You talked a lot about, at the start of the season, just about the buzz and the expectations around campus and just around Stillwater. Now that you're sitting at 6-0 for the BCS standings, just how would you now describe just how excited people are, just what the vibe is like around here still?
Oh, I think our players are excited. I knew that question was going to come up about the BCS, and the honest thing to say as a coach is for us to say that our team's not excited, that our secretaries aren't excited, that our fans aren't excited, that the people down at the bagel shop, I ran down here to Louis to eat. Everybody's wearing OSU football stuff, so the excitement's out there. And I think as coaches, we ought to be honest and just say, hey, I'm pretty fired up too. I mean, I'd rather be there than not on the chart or whatever that thing is. So there's a lot of excitement. The second part of that is, as we all know, there's a lot of work that's left. I mean, we got 4 or 5 days here to get ready for Missouri. Missouri's going to give us all we can handle, and they could care less what we are in the BCS. And then next week, whoever it is we play next, they'll feel the same way. So our approach as a staff and with our team is if you start reading too much or start to believe too much about what people say about you and it affects your preparation, then that next team will show you a trick. But there's a lot of excitement here. The ramifications in recruiting are huge for us. The national attention that we're getting is really good, and it's just another step in moving in the right direction for Oklahoma State football. I mean,
does that make it that much more difficult to try and ignore some of those distractions when, like you said, everybody up here is all fired up, and then you've got some other people who are writing attack articles? I mean, you got a lot of things coming at you.
There's a lot of things, but here's the way I look at it is, you're into, say, August, September, third week of November. So we're like 10 or 11 weeks into this, and there can be some fatigue mentally and physically. Bill asked about earlier, because football is a tough game to play. I mean, you run out there in the heat and you get people hit you in the head, and you get hurt and sore and you're bleeding and you're tired, and your coaches put you back out there and say, hey, you got to get it done. So I've been on a number of teams early in my career where at this point in the season we weren't doing very good, and practicing well enough to compete and play in a game is like pulling teeth. So I see this as an advantage, that everybody's at least excited about where we're at and what's going on. And so as a coaching staff, I don't see why you should deny that. My approach to the team this week will be, look, guys, here's the deal. Everybody thinks you're good. Here's where you are. You better go practice good. You better show up and be happy where you're at, and let's go get this thing done. I mean, that's going to be my approach versus don't listen to them, don't read the paper, don't go online. I mean, those guys carry phones, and they can do that and look and see what's going on. So I don't think you deny any of it. I think you take advantage of it.
I know that Todd has only been back here as your play caller for 6 games, but you've known him forever. And Fedora gets a head coaching job out of here, and Dana got one. Do you think
I was afraid you were going to bring that up.
You think Todd is destined? You think he's on that same kind of track?
I'm going to try to start a rumor to see if I can not let that happen. I'm tired of hiring coordinators. So he has the ability to be a head coach. Like all of us, there's certain things he needs to work on and clean up and do this and that. But his football intellectual level and his ability to relate to his players and to be able to get them to perform will put him in position to be a head coach.
What does he need to clean up?
Well, I don't know. That's, the word around the country is it should be "thou shalt not judge," but that's just me.
Coach, you mentioned recruiting and how being this high in the BCS helps. Can you talk a little bit about going into Texas back-to-back years, getting wins, getting a win in Lubbock, getting a win at Texas A&M? How much that helps in recruiting the state of Texas specifically, which is huge for Oklahoma State?
Well, it does. I think everybody's aware that because of the sheer population, 354 Division I players a year come out of that state. We have to be there more than anywhere else in the country. We've got to go where the numbers are, and for us to win, one, is a huge advantage in recruiting. And two, for us to have success there where those young men get up and read something online or pick a newspaper up, then they're going to see where Oklahoma State's doing good. So it can only help us. Now, I've said this for the last few weeks, and I go back to it. It's interesting if you look at our team, we got a large number of players on our team that are making plays that are from Oklahoma. And so winning down there is helping us here also. I think the level of football in Oklahoma is getting better. And I think that some of these players are getting a little bit overlooked, which is certainly good for Oklahoma State.
Coach, with that 4 ranking in the BCS, do you think opponents are now going to be gunning a little bit more for Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I think they've been gunning for us for 2 years now. And unfortunately, when you start to win, my guess is that throughout a summer and preseason camp, teams now know who you are. We were in this situation 2 years ago, the Cotton Bowl year, and then last year we kind of flew under the radar a little bit. People didn't think we were going to be any good, so we got away with it for 5 or 6 games. But I think that there's so much out there with the media and social networking that it's hard to get away with that anymore.
Did you see the end of that 49ers Detroit game with the handshake at the end?
I just walked through my assistant Danielle's office going downstairs earlier, and she had it on her TV. She was not working; she was watching TV, and I saw it on there when I walked by.
Your thoughts on it? You ever have anything like that when you go to?
I haven't. I've never felt that way, and when I watched it, and I've only watched it one time, I haven't slowed it down, run it back, or anything like that. I think you had one coach that was excited and kind of got caught up and was just trying to kind of go through and go on, and the other guy didn't see it that way, and so it got turned into something that was really blown out of proportion. That's just my opinion. Now, I didn't hear it or whatever, but there may be a time that the AFCA limits coaches shaking hands after a game. You shake hands before the game and talk about each other's families and pets and how you doing, and you guys are doing great and good luck and stay healthy, and then you come back out after the game and do it again. So I guess it's kind of just the way it's always been.
Last question.
Good? All right, thanks.